I Love CVille Show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's Tuesday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville on a network, the I Love CVille Network, that, folks, it's become the source of the source, the content for Central Virginia. Let's cut to the chase here. I've in particular noticed it of late when we've highlighted when I've produced a handful of pieces of content. The content on Greystar and the old Ivy residences went viral. The breaking news with Mickey Tavern back on the market for sale, viral. The commentary on Donald Trump, is he going to use the Federal Executive Institute gift, the hand-me-down gift to Charlottesville Public Schools, a $0 14-acre parcel with 90,000 plus square feet of building on that 14 acres, a gift to city schools? Is he going to use that as a red carpet ribbon-cutting moment where he's going to come to Charlottesville and say, you guys better give me my pat on my back, my flowers. Give me some props for giving you, Charlottesville, this gift. That went viral. The Greystar commentary and analysis yesterday went viral. A large portion of the community had no idea 525 units were being built off Old Ivy Road. Compounding the 525 units, a tractor trailer, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, right next to Bel Air, as it was trying to make a hard U-turn onto Old Ivy Road, fell off the road, and the building supplies teeter-tottered as if it was like a little boy and a little girl on a seesaw going back and forth, this tractor trailer kind of hovering or teeter-tottering for its balance across from Bel Air, with goods and materials and supplies crashing to the Virginia clay and the crumbled asphalt in Ivy, causing 6-7 hours of traffic delays and logjam. Geez Louise, should that trucking company, should VDOT, should the insurance of that trucking company, Deep Throat said this yesterday, should they be doing some kind of payout to Albemarle County or us taxpayers who got caught up in that mess? How many hours of professional and personal time were cannibalized yesterday by this truck driver who tries to make a hard U-turn onto Old Ivy Road to deliver some building supplies? And ladies and gentlemen, are we going to expect that type of quality of life impact over the next 2 years as this Greystar project comes to life? We'll talk about that on the I Love CVille Show. We're going to talk on the program Albemarle County Supervisors. I got to ask the people, are they out of touch? Got them watching the program as we speak. Raising the real estate tax rate 4 cents, Judah, when headwinds after headwinds after headwinds after headwinds are ravaging, Judah, ravaging Albemarle County households. We'll talk about that on today's show. I got some highlights from the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors first quarter report that I want to pass along to you. And ladies and gentlemen, are you seeing the coupons back? Those Groupon and Living Social coupons from the recession of 2008, 2009, 2010. Remember in 2008, 9, and 10, you could spend $25 for a $50 coupon. Spend $25, get $50 for local businesses all over town. Those things are back, and I would encourage local merchants that are doing this gimmick of spend $25, get you $50 to consider what you are doing. You are giving away the house with these coupons, and you're commoditizing your product and your menu items. You are literally racing to the bottom. We'll talk about that on the program. We'll start with some breaking news, and then we'll highlight Charlottesville Sanitary Supply as you make that one-shot dynamic, J-Dubs. The breaking news from the Jerry and Jerry Show this morning, this courtesy of Virginia Sports Hall of Famer Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe. Mississippi State and the Southeastern Conference has an opening for their baseball program, a head coach opening. And the chitter-chatter, the scuttlebutt, the rumor mill had Mississippi State getting a Brinks truck. I'm talking a Scrooge McDuck war chest of money, and going after Brian O'Connor, the head baseball coach at UVA. They were going to offer this dude millions and millions of dollars, carte blanche, in a program that's got significant upside in the top baseball conference in America, the Southeastern Conference. and they were going to take that Brinks truck and that Scrooge McDuck war chest of gold coins, and they were going to say, Brian, here. This is for you. Jerry Ratcliffe spoke with Brian O'Connor on the phone about 5 minutes before walking into the studio this morning here on the I Love CVille Network. And the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe, said, I have confirmed after speaking with Brian O'Connor on the phone that Coach O'Connor, while flattered, is not leaving Charlottesville, nor is he leaving UVA anytime soon. And he's going to say no to Mississippi State, the Brinks truck, and the Scrooge McDuck gold coins. Brian O'Connor staying home here in Charlottesville. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, 60 consecutive years of business. I was on the phone with John Vermillion this morning. Great man, John Vermillion. His son, Andrew Vermillion. 3 generations of family behind Charlottesville Sanitary Supply on East High Street. 3 generations of family. The Vermillions and Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, when you're opening your swimming pools right now, that's the place you go. Water quality, education, knowledge. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply and online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. We're opening our swimming pool at Casa de Miller right now. The Bambinos are going to be jumping in the swimming pool on Friday. Good God. Summer's here. School's almost out. And my wife and I have gnawed our fingernails down to the cuticles as a 7-year-old psychopath and a 2.5-year-old train wreck are going to be buck-ass naked, cannonballing into the deep end of our swimming pool saying, Daddy, Mommy, watch what I can do. The problem? The 2.5-year-old can't swim, and the 7-year-old thinks he's Michael Phelps. Not just Michael Phelps, he thinks he's Kamikaze Joe, driving his bike off the pool deck into the pool to see if he can clear the length of the pool on a jump that's made out of pickup sticks and popsicle sticks that he thinks can hold his bike in his 60-pound frame. Someone pray for us. School's out for summer. Parents, I empathize for you. Empathize with you. Judah Wickower, studio camera, then a 2-shot, the jack of all wits, the jack of all trades, the only man I know in the dog days of summer that can pull off an undershirt, a button-down shirt, and a sweater while not having a drop of sweat on his brow, and he does it with a smile. The affable, the lovable Judah Wickower. Which headline is most intriguing to you, my friend, today?
Oh, man. Let's see. Yeah, the $25 gift cards for
a race to the bottom.
$50 worth of product.
A race to the bottom.
That's pretty rough.
A race to the bottom. But a sign of the times.
Great deals for people who want them.
It's great deals for consumers. The small business that is being suckered into these 25 get you 50 gimmicks are literally giving away the house, and it is a sign of the headwinds the small business owner is facing, ladies and gentlemen. We will unpack it on today's show, on the I Love CVille show, and boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to cover. The first headline is the new zoning ordinance. We have a lawsuit, as you put that lower third on screen. The city of Charlottesville, who has no attorney on staff right now. I'll say it again. Charlottesville, Virginia, has no attorney on staff right now. They're outsourcing their legal counsel to a third-party law firm that is just sitting over there in the corner with their calculator, with their pencil in their ear. They got their calculator in their hand, and they're like, oh, my God, how much can we milk Charlottesville, Virginia for as the third-party law firm with an active lawsuit going? We got city councilors that got bullied into a new zoning ordinance by activists and people that have no idea what they're talking about. They rolled it out almost 2 years ago, and now we got these wealthy plaintiffs in Charlottesville that don't want to see it happening. Boy, oh boy, we got a judge in this lawsuit, a judge who lives in the city whose wife was speaking out in favor of the new zoning ordinance and additional housing. Conflicts of interest everywhere. But guess what? We could keep billing because those taxpayers are going to float the bill. That's what's happening right now. That's literally what's happening right now. City of Charlottesville guys asked their third-party law firm, their high-dollar law firm, to chat with Judge Worrell. And this third-party law firm, these high-dollar law firm, these three-piece suit-wearing lawyers have filed a new motion with Charlottesville Circuit Court Judge Claude Worrell and said, Judge, will you please reconsider your ruling from the 16th of April that allowed this lawsuit to continue moving forward? Please, Judge, will you reconsider? There's a saying in business. There's a saying at the negotiating table. There's a saying with deal brokers, king makers, and rainmakers, that the only people that win with controversy, with strife, when the negotiation starts crumbling, is the lawyers. The lawyers. That's what's happening right here. The plaintiffs that are arguing against the new zoning ordinance, so I'll put it in a nutshell for you. City of Charlottesville is about to do away with basically single-family detached zoning. It's basically going to try to stimulate more housing supply to breed housing affordability. That's ridiculous. You do away with zoning, you're going to make the dirt more opportunistic, which makes it more expensive. It's going to lead to more speculation, and it's going to create housing product that is manifested, that's going to come to market at top dollar. Perfect example is Greystar, 525 units off Old Ivy Road. 15% of those units are tied to 80% AMI. They're calling those 15% of the 525. Quick math on that 15% of that 525, Judah. 525 times 0.15. That's just 78 units. Let's call it an even 80 for the sake of a talk show. Greystar got $74 billion in assets across 17 countries. International conglomerate said, we're going to give them 80 units of the 525. And those 80 units, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to link to area median income. And we're going to cap it at 80%. Well, guess what? Those 80 units that are for affordable housing, the area median income at that 80% is 100 G's per family household. That doesn't sound affordable to me. That doesn't sound like food stamps to me. That doesn't sound like someone that's struggling to pay the grocery bills to me. That doesn't sound like somebody that's getting the gallon of milk and putting it under the tap. Put little water in the gallon of milk to make the milk go further, like I used to have to do in college when I didn't have any money. When I was going to the Panda Garden Buffet over there by Lambeth Commons, kind of across the John Paul Jones Arena, as a broke joke college student right after college when I was launching my business. And I'd go to the $4.95 lunch buffet at the Panda Garden with Ziploc bags stuffed in my pocket. And when the very kind Asian folks at the Panda Garden Buffet weren't looking, I'd take that General Tso's and that fried rice and those fortune cookies, and I'd scrape it off the plate and put it into Ziploc bags, and I'd shove it in my backpack that was sitting next to me in the booth. I'd walk out of that Panda Garden Buffet with 3 or 4 Ziploc bags, enough food for me for the next day and the day after, and dog food for Lucy, the German Shepherd Chow Chow mix, that said, Dad, give me some kibble, I'm hungry. Here's some General Tso's, and boy, did she smile. And boy, did that tail wag like a metronome on crack. Lucy, running over the Rainbow Bridge right now, Judah. New zoning ordinance, give me a break. Third-party law firm, give me a break, begging the judge to keep the lawsuit from moving forward. Plaintiffs digging deep, heels in the sand, saying, we're going to do whatever it takes to win this. You heard it here, and I've been saying it for years. The new zoning ordinance is going to be one of the greatest policy failures in Charlottesville, Virginia history. One of the most significant policy failures in Charlottesville, Virginia history. And speaking of Greystar, Judah, as you get that Greystar lower third on screen, I get this message yesterday on the I Love CVille Network. This message from someone I trust, outdoor enthusiast Kate Lucas. I hope she hears this. She's a swimmer, she's a runner, she's a hiker, she's a biker, a mountain biker, a cyclist. She loves the outdoors. She leaves this message on the I Love CVille Network. She goes, "It's frustrating and ironic that while this development, Greystar, the old Ivy residences, touts its own active lifestyle, its amenities, it has completely disregarded one of the most valuable existing amenities for our community, the Rivanna Trail." Kate continues by writing this: "Without notice, the section between Leonard Sandridge and Old Ivy on the furthest edge of this parcel was abruptly closed to the public at the start of construction. This portion is a key link in the 20-mile loop that circles Charlottesville and is used by walkers, runners, and cyclists on a daily basis." She spoke with a Greystar representative, and the Greystar representative claimed the trail will be rebuilt after the 2-year construction is finished. She says, however, "I'll believe it when I see it." Kate adds this: "Blocking public access to a cherished community resource for years without a reasonable interim solution is a tone-deaf way to start a project." And she concludes with this: "Sadly, UVA has taken a similar approach without notice behind Darden and at the beginning of the build for the Fontaine parking deck as well." Do you see, ladies and gentlemen, what happens when we prioritize housing and density and listen to activists before people that are actually professionally in the trenches? They scream James Earl Jones, Kevin Costner, and Shoeless Joe Jackson style, "If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come." But what they don't think about when building the diamond in the cornfield, what they don't think about when building 525 residences off a narrow 2-lane road that is sandwiched in between 2 railroad overpasses. What they don't think about when they take 525 units and say 15% of them are going to be affordable, but those 15%, local officials are hoodwinked by an international developer who links them to area median income, so those 80 units are $100,000 family households. And not the folks that are on food stamps, can't afford the groceries, or have to go to the Panda Garden buffet to steal some Chinese food to make it for 48 hours or 72 hours for the people and the dogs to live off the stolen Chinese food. They don't think about that. They don't think about the Rivanna Trail, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most critical, one of the most influential, one of the most used, one of the most enjoyed trails in the region, the Rivanna Trail. And now it's got broken, far from contiguous path structure. They don't think about that. They just ramrod rooftops. And as they ramrod more rooftops, somehow they conceive or they somehow they come up with a way to continue to raising taxes on us. I'm going to weave you in here in a matter of moments, Judah Wickhauer. But explain to me how tomorrow the supervisors are going to consider a 4-cent real estate tax rate increase, a vote that is going to create even more budgetary revenue for Albemarle County, the 6th largest county in the Commonwealth. Explain to me, viewers and listeners, at a time where the county, where Charlottesville, where Central Virginia is facing the following headwinds. I'm going to give you 12 of them, Judah. Real estate assessments are at an all-time high. All-time high right now, real estate assessments. Grocery costs are at an all-time high right now. Credit card debt is at an all-time high right now. UVA has frozen its 3% cost of living raises. UVA has frozen performance-based bonuses. UVA has frozen new hiring. UVA has frozen discretionary spending. UVA is considering asking all its employees to take a pay cut. And by asking, it's no question, it's a voluntold. The federal government is facing cuts. Last check, there was a lot of federally employed employees in the Albemarle and Charlottesville and Central Virginia area. The defense sector is facing cuts. Last check, the defense sector and the federal government were the number 2 driver of the Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia economies. Number 1, UVA. I already outlined those headwinds. Number 2, defense sector, federal government. $1.3 billion yearly impact. $1.3 billion. A joint study with the Chamber of Commerce, Albemarle County, the City of Charlottesville, and Greene County assess the economic value of the defense sector and the government sector at $1.3 billion. That was a couple years ago. It's even higher now. Inflation is crushing small business. How much is inflation crushing small business? How much are Trump's tariffs crushing small business? How much is technology evaporating job opportunity? Well, you got Boylan Heights on the UVA corner today with a $25 get you $50 on the internet. You got multiple food and beverage businesses. I think I even saw the what's the card store over there by the bike shop on Zand Road? Is it the Deep End?
I'm not sure about that.
Goodness gracious, we're buying Pokemon single cards over there, our son and I. Is that what it's called?
You talking about the End?
The End Games? Gosh, Judah Wickar,
Yeah.
You're batting 1,000. The End Games is doing 25, get you 50. I love the End Games. My kids getting me into Pokemon. Boylan Heights, it was one of the most popular places forever when J.R. Hadley was running it. You got businesses left and right that are saying, spend $25 with us, we'll give you $50 to our business to spend. Those businesses are paying an old media, a legacy media company, to promote a 25 get you 50. So it's not just the 25 they get to keep, because they're paying the legacy old media company to promote this.
Yep.
Then we're walking into these locations with $50 in spending power after only dropping 25. That is a major red flag. A major red flag for businesses on Market Street, on Main Street, on Preston, on Fontaine, on Old Ivy, on Carlton. Major red flag. Headwinds galore, and yet supervisors are considering a 4-cent real estate tax rate increase tomorrow. Is it tone deaf, Judah? Is it out of touch, Judah? Is Albemarle County intentionally trying to gentrify you and me, middle class Albemarle Countyans out of the 6th largest county in the Commonwealth, and replace us with 1%ers so it can fund its budgetary and governmental coffers? Is that what the plan is? Replace us and bring in 1%ers? And lastly, Judah, you jump in here. Help me understand this. How is it affordable, housing-wise, to raise taxes on us? Somehow we are being tricked and seduced. We're being hoodwinked, saying, raise taxes on our homes to fund housing affordability. Make it make sense, Judah.
While I may be wrong about this, I wonder if it's a way of essentially taxing the rich.
Oh, here we go.
But making it look
Here we go.
equitable. Think about it this way: you tax everybody. That way, nobody can say that you're singling out the rich, whatever you want to call the rich. I'm not gonna say that there's some like level that sets you at that that people can start calling you that. But you tax everybody, and then you offer tax rebates to people with lower income. So essentially, could it be that that's a way of looking impartial while getting the money that you want and trying to help the lower income people? I'm just. Do
you believe that?
I don't know.
Do you believe what's coming out of your mouth right now?
I didn't state it unequivocally. I'm asking questions. Do you think they just don't care about the lower income?
This comment's left on the I Love CVille Network It's a very good comment from Evan Poles. I hope you're watching the program today, Evan Poles. Albemarle County is taxing unrealized gains.
Yeah.
Taxing unrealized gains with our homes and continues to go after it.
Yeah.
Evan Poles also says this: stealing more from us to subsidize housing for those that contribute to the decay of this area. I respond to that comment. There's a fine line between taxing and stealing. There's a very fine line between taxing and stealing. Are the redcoats coming? Do I need to get some Lipton and some tea leaves and throw it into the Rivanna River? Do I need to get some lanterns and some horseback and find today's version of Paul Revere? Where's John Adams when you need him? All hail the king? No way, Jose. That guy's wearing a wig. We ain't hailing that dude. Look at what he's doing to our pockets and our wallets and our purses. Come on now. Carol Thorpe responds, I believe that fine line between taxing and stealing is called purpose or objective. What is the reason, purpose, objective of any particular tax? For what is it being collected to spend upon? Suzanne Daly says on the I Love CVille Network, do you actually think the Board of Supervisors cares? Truly, I'm willing to bet every member on the Board of Supervisors is in a financial situation that is untouched in the current economic climate. They do not care at all, just like the school boards don't care what constituents' bosses have to say. I respond to Suzanne Daly and say, I know the boards of supervisors personally, and I can tell you a large portion of them are not wealthy. Far from it. Make it make sense and help me understand. Help me understand.
I think the point of looking at what they're spending it on is a very good point. That's always a good point. It's always good to take a look at where the money's going.
Absolutely insane. Ginny Hu watching the program. She says it was always part of the plan to close part of that trail and reroute it around Greystar. She highlights that. That rerouting has not happened, Ginny. Outdoor enthusiasts are saying. Deep Throat says, Judah is right that some localities use that strategy, but it is not permissible in Virginia except very narrowly. Virginia law limits strictly who can get property tax relief. Deep Throat also adds that third-party law firm that is petitioning Judge Worrell. He says, Sands Anderson filing in the lawsuit is a joke. The claim is that the plaintiffs are trying to take over VDOT's authority. That's not what the plaintiffs are arguing at all. They are not trying to stand in VDOT's shoes. They are saying the city did not comply with the statute on comp plans and rezonings, which happen to involve mandatory consultation with VDOT. Yeah. They are not asking VDOT to do anything or to arrogate any of VDOT's powers. Bad lawyering, but not a surprise when the city attorney's office is still mostly empty. He also highlights what we all discussed yesterday, the absurdity of VDOT working on Old Ivy Road. VDOT, the Virginia Department of Transportation, revitalizing, enhancing, reimagining, remodeling, renovating, whatever you want to call it, Old Ivy Road, VDOT is doing right now. Remember, Albemarle County, VDOT's got the roads. Charlottesville, city's got the roads. Albemarle County, VDOT's got the roads. He says, how absolutely ridiculous for VDOT to be redoing the roads, the bridge, that entrance ramp onto the bypass at the very same time that a developer, International, is doing 525 housing units. Yeah. Absolute absurdity. What's also absurd is the project next to Moe's is happening at the same time that this project is happening. So you have in a half-mile stretch, maybe even a quarter-mile stretch of Albemarle in the city of Charlottesville, from Moe's Barbecue right next to Moe's, to the Greystar project on Old Ivy Road and VDOT doing the Old Ivy Road renovation, remodeling, revitalization, reimagining, whatever you want to call it. 3 massive projects happening at exactly the same time, ladies and gentlemen. Do any of these jurisdictions powwow and conversate, chitter chatter, and meet in person to actually do some legitimate planning? Who builds 525 acres at a time where the entry point to the 525 units? Who builds 525 units at the exact same time, ladies and gentlemen, that the Virginia Department of Transportation is doing massive road construction that's going to take a year and change? The entry point to the 525 units. And who does it at the exact same time that a 10 or 12 story building is being built within walking distance of the project?
Yeah.
It's a cacophony of comedic blunders. Am I wrong?
I don't know that you're wrong.
Maybe comedic is not the right word. It's a cacophony of demoralizing decisions. A cacophony of disheartening decisions. Am I right? Am I wrong? Barbara Becker-Tilley's watching the program. I think this is Barbara Becker-Tilley's first comment ever in the history of the I Love CVille Network. Is that true, Barbara? Welcome to the family, Barbara Becker-Tilley. She says, anyone that sat in the solid line of traffic on Route 250 at 7:30 a.m. from Crozet on the bypass should be thrilled this is going to be there. And today there was no Interstate 64 issue throwing the excess traffic onto 250. I said yesterday on the I Love CVille Network that if you live in Crozet, Virginia, if you live in Old Trail, if you live in Crozet, and you commute into the city of Charlottesville for any reason, professional or personal, the next 24 months of your life, your commute is going to 2 to 3x in time. If you live in Crozet, Virginia, and you're commuting into Charlottesville for any reason, your quality of life just got a huge kick in the nuts. Huge kick in the nuts. And it's going to be a kick in the nuts for the next 24 months, maybe even longer. You got a Virginia Department of Transportation's project happening at the same time. 525 units are being built by an international developer who could give a rat's ass about Charlottesville and Albemarle County. At the same time, a 10 to 12 story apartment building is being built next to Moe's Barbecue. All in the same location, on the same entry and exit ramps of a road called a bypass that is the beltway around the city.
Yep.
It's insanity what is happening right now.
Just wait till work starts on on the place next to the Omni and the former Violet Crown. We talked about that as well.
No, the real situation is when the University of Virginia, next to the Kimpton Hotel, starts building that convention center. Barbara Becker-Tilley says a second comment. I absolutely love your show. I watch it daily. Anyone that cares and loves Charlottesville should watch the I Love CVille show. Probably the only place to get the real news in today's world. Barbara Becker-Tilley leaves that comment. You want to say thank you for the both of us?
Thank you.
We're grateful. Sincerely mean that. Maria Marshall Barnes says, not to mention the detour for accidents on on Interstate 64 are all sent that way. When do we start having this conversation? Okay? When do we start having this conversation? Carol Thorpe, your comments on deck. William McChesney, your comments on deck. When do we start having the conversation that if 24 to 36 months with the Greystar project, 525 units, going on at the same time that the Virginia Department of Transportation traffic, Old Ivy Road project is going on, at the same time that is it RST that's doing it? The Moe's Barbecue next to Moe's in the old Truist site? Is that what it was, Deep Throat? The 10 to 12 apartments? Give me a snapshot if you could on that, Deep Throat. When do we start having the conversation that these projects going on at the same time for the next 24 to 36 months may start slowing or stalling real estate sales or values from Afton, Greenwood, Crozet, down Ivy into the city? Do we have that conversation? Do we have that conversation? Think about it this way. We bought our home, our last home in Glenmore in March of 2020 at the start of COVID. We had to go into the house that we purchased that was on the market for 2 years because the Glenmore neighborhood was soft before COVID. Literally, houses had DOMs with 700 days attached to it. 700 days attached to these homes in Glenmore. They were not selling. Then in the beginning of COVID, I'm like, sweetheart, this is a massive opportunity. We are going to go to one of these houses in Glenmore, and we're going to get a significant deal on one of these houses because everyone's terrified that the world is going to fall apart right before us. So in March, in the year 2020, when we had to enter the house in a hazmat suit, I said, we're going to do it, and we're going to make an offer, and that offer is going to be below asking price on a home that's got a DOM over a year, maybe flirting with 2. We made an offer on a house on Sandown that was aggressive. It didn't pan out. Then we made an offer on a home on Piper. They countered. I countered. They countered. We got a number that was fantastic. And I said, we're going to do it. We're going to move in. And then Glenmore, during COVID and the pandemic, got red hot. Everyone was doing stuff outside. They wanted the walking trails, the golf course, the tennis, the swimming, the hiking trails, amenities offered in HOA neighborhoods. And Glenmore's price points and valuations went through the roof. And then just before the 4-year marker, as we were still kind of coming out of this COVID and pandemic hangover and haze, I said to my wife, we're going to sell this house. We are going to absolutely sell this Glenmore home now. We're going to 2x our money in less than 4 years strictly for sleeping on the pillow. And we're going to go to a part of Albemarle County that is closer to my work, to where our oldest son is going to school, and to where we spend a lot of our time at the end of the day. And we decided to go on Ivy Road. In Ivy. Down into Ivy. About 5 minutes from the city limits. Takes me 9 minutes to get to work. And she said, why are we going to do that? Why are we going to do that? I said, sweetheart, because people are returning to office. People are getting back to their old self. And we're coming out of this haze and this hangover from the pandemic. And the traffic on Pantops with this diamond interchange and with all these houses that are being built right next to Glenmore, Breezy Hill, Rivanna Village, and these neighborhoods in Fluvanna and Louisa that are sending people this way to get to the epicenter of employment past our entrance in Glenmore, they're going to be getting in the cars, and it's going to be a 30 to 40-minute commute around school time, around drive-in time, around drive-home time. We don't want to do this. It's going to impact quality of life. We're going to sell at the top of the market, and we did it, and we almost 2x'd our money. We almost 2x'd our money, and then we took the gains, bought something in Ivy that was close to everything. It has 4 acres of swimming pool, and it's a heaven for the kids. Needed a little bit of work, but we were willing to put in the work. We had a construction crew that works for our rental properties that was doing the work for us, and we did it. And now you look at the Glenmore market, and what's happened, Judah? It's getting soft a little bit. The DOMs are back up. Why is it getting soft? Because of a number of reasons. A, people need to be closer to work because they're RTOing. They're return to officing. They may be doing it hybrid, but they're RTOing, returning to office. It's getting a little soft, the Glenmore market. Why? You see price cuts, price modifications. The pricing isn't aggressive as it was in 2023 and 2024. Why? Because Pantops and the Diamond Interchange is an effing nightmare. Mm-hmm. You want to drive from Keswick to downtown Charlottesville, is going to take you half an hour. You want to drive from Keswick to downtown Charlottesville at 5:30 or 6 p.m. or where school gets let out, it's going to take you 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Right before we moved, my wife was spending 2.5 hours a day in a car driving around Charlottesville and Albemarle County for my kids, for our kids, for school, and for extracurricular activities. 2.5 hours she was stuck in bypass traffic. And that traffic, that headache, that logjam, that diamond interchange, that quality of life impact has softening price points in that neighborhood, Glenmore, a gated community in Keswick. It's softened the prices. And if that traffic, that logjam, that headache can soften prices, can create headwinds and long DOMs in Glenmore, when do we ask the question, is it going to do the same thing because of a VDOT transportation road project on Ivy Road? Because of Greystar doing 525 units on 14 acres off the bypass, and because, thank you, Deep Throat, the new developer next to Moe's Barbecue, up campus, 10 stories, 242 units, more than 500 beds. I want you to understand something, viewers and listeners that are watching our Fair and Fine talk show, and this is why you listen to the show. It spares no bullshit. It cuts straight to the chase. You have up campus building housing for UVA students next to Moe's Barbecue. 242 units, Judah. 242 units. Mm-hmm. At the very same time that international developer Greystar is building 525 units next door. At the same time, the Virginia Department of Transportation is completely reimagining Old Ivy Road. Whoever allowed these projects to happen at the exact same time is you better help me fill in the blank, Judah, because the word I'm going to use is not very nice.
I'm not filling that word for you.
Who allows 242 units to be built by a developer that's out of market, that doesn't care about Charlottesville? Who allows 525 units by a developer that's out of market and doesn't care about Charlottesville? And who allows the Virginia Department of Transportation to completely reimagine the Ivy Corridor from a transportation and roadway standpoint to do all these projects at the exact same moment? It is a cacophony of horrific decision-making. How's that for some fodder for your cocktails and charcuterie party this weekend? Carol Thorpe watching the program. Jerry, she's the queen of Jack Jewett. Her photo on screen, Carol Thorpe. The all-Democratic Board of Supervisors has a stranglehold on taxpayer money and taxpayers in Albemarle. There is no pushback, no checks and balances, and no fear that their single-party rule will lose its power. When Democrats leave the Board of Supervisors, more Democrats get elected to fill their seats, unless and until voters change the political composition of the BOS or at least show up in droves at meetings and protest to shame and pressure them. Get ready to bend over and pay more. She adds, perhaps it's time for a new generation to resurrect the Jefferson area taxed enough already Tea Party. She was the one-time chairwoman of that Tea Party. James Watson watching the program, brilliant man, brilliant planner, all around great guy. I think the UVA financial muscle is behind all of these projects. The fact is, without UVA, we would be a one-horse town. However, the question is UVA planning on admitting more students or something? We do know that the Biotech Institute and the Data Science School is going to increase the population.
Yeah.
I also need to add that at the same time the 525 Greystar units are being developed, at the same time that Up Campus is doing 242 units and 500 beds next to Moe's Barbecue, at the same time the Virginia Department of Transportation is gutting Ivy Road, at the same time out-of-market developer Subtext is building 1,300 beds next to Scott Stadium. This is all happening right now. Subtext is doing 1,300 beds, and out-of-market developer next to Scott Stadium. Mm-hmm. We literally have 3 projects that are happening at the same time that are going to 525 units at Greystar, 242 units next to Moe's Barbecue is 767. Subtext, Charlottesville. I should know this. I'm disappointed in myself that I don't know this. Development. How many units are at the Verve, Judah, in Charlottesville? I got it here. 1,300 plus beds. That number was right. A 12-story project, 1,300 beds and 25,000 square feet of amenity space. Geez Louise, hell's bells. Subtext next to Scott Stadium is building 729,262 square feet, 1,332 beds, and 463 units. Jesus, are you kidding me? Judah, let's just do some basic math. All these projects are happening at the exact same time. Subtext is doing 463 units next to Scott Stadium. Up Campus is doing 242 units next to Moe's Barbecue.
1230, 1240.
525 by Greystar. 1,230 units are being built right now at the same time by out-of-market developers that don't give a rat's ass about Charlottesville and Albemarle County. 1,230 units are being built right now at the exact same time, ladies and gentlemen. Why isn't old media reporting this? Why isn't legacy media reporting this? Why isn't TV, print, and radio talking about this? Who's talking about this besides Judah Wickhauer and yours truly? Nobody else. That's why you listen to the I Love CVille show. That's why. Insanity. And all this is happening, 1,230 units at the exact same time, because about 50 activists got together. They created a nonprofit, and they used social media like Blue Sky to get in the ear of supervisors and counselors when nobody else shows up to these meetings, and they just chip away. They like yip and yap. They pester. They pluck. They push. They poke. They pick counselors and supervisors and say, more housing, new zoning ordinance, no single-family zoning. Make it happen. If you don't, you're a racist. If you don't, you're not going to create affordability. And now we got 1,230 new units being built at the same time. And when one tractor trailer teeter-totters on its side like a little Johnny and little Susie on a seesaw on the Meriwether Lewis Elementary playground, construction materials coming crashing to the asphalt and the Virginia clay next to Bel Air as I'm eating my Keswick salty ham sandwich, the entire town comes to a standstill and is effed with traffic. Why? Because Charlottesville and Albemarle County were never set up for this kind of density.
Yeah.
The roads were never set up. The government in Charlottesville City, did you see this headline? Local government in the city of Charlottesville is eminent domaining people's property on High Street to create a sidewalk. I said on this program for so long, one of the most you go ahead and hear a second, one of the most underutilized and undervalued and forgotten and underperforming stretches of roadway in a 10.2 square mile city we call Charlottesville is High Street. I've said it forever. Bicyclists get hit by cars all the time. One bicyclist got hit by a car and the driver sped off. The only reason people found out about it because the camera across the street. Charlottesville yesterday, eminent domain people's property for a sidewalk. That means government took land from a private citizen and said, at least we're offering fair market value for you. They're offering them fair market value for like 10 feet of their property. They're giving them peanuts, pittance.
There's two of them.
Tell them the story, Judah.
I mean, there's not much of a story, but it's more than just one spot. There's, I believe, Barracks and Emmett, and what's the other one? There's another one I think on High Street. Yeah, East High Street Streetscape Project. So they're
you have government taking their land from private citizens.
Yeah.
For the sake of public utility.
Mm-hmm.
The definition of overreach. Make this make sense. Viewers and listeners, make this make sense for me. Judah, are you ready for this? Make this make sense. Government is going to eminent domain. You said East High Street. They're eminent domaining private property on East High Street and where? Barracks?
Yeah, Barracks and Emmett.
They're going to people's houses that they've owned and paid taxes onto the city for owning them. And government's saying, we're going to take your yards. We're going to take your grass from you, and we're going to give you some peanuts, some pennies for it. But they're not willing to do the same to John Dewberry in the downtown mall with the skeleton of the Dewberry Hotel?
That's a good point.
Explain this to me and make this make sense. Local government I want your land to build sidewalks. I'm taking it from you. Here's some loose change.
They made deals with 19 out of 26 people whose property they wanted.
19 of 26. And this is how those deals go. City comes to you, we're going to take this, and we're going to give you fair market value, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Yet they won't do it for a skeleton on the downtown mall that has houseless individuals peeing and pooping on it, that has a family of rats living within it, that has construction debris falling from 8 and 10 stories high, crashing to the ground, where if you're having a Minuteman or a Emperor of Clouds on the patio of Jack Brown's, your brow gets slashed, sliced, and diced with fallen construction debris from the construction site across from the picnic bench you're sitting on? Make it make sense. Can you make this make sense?
I can't.
No, seriously, can you make this make sense?
No, I certainly would think that they would, if they were so easily going to jump to the eminent domain answer of getting property that they want. Yeah, why not have used that years ago?
Insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. Elliot Harding watching the program, fantastic defense attorney, one of the best in the game. I know we're blaming the city a lot here, but the county has restricted Grove 2 to the point that instead of expanding the base, it's raising rates. Meanwhile, the city is doing the opposite. George Gilmer watching the program. And not too far away, don't forget the development on Rio Road West and the one across from the tech school. It's okay, moms and dads. Your kids will continue learning in trailers. We're just going to force feed more people into Albemarle County. We're not going to have a high school in the northern feeder pattern. And we're just going to say, look, your little Johnnies and your little Susies, they're going to learn in classrooms with 30 kids on it, and they're going to have to learn in trailers. We're going to call them educational villages, educational learning centers. But really, they're trailers.
Didn't we have a graph on utilization that showed it way below?
Elementary schools. High school is a very different story.
I gotcha.
Elementary schools. No wonder private school enrollment is upticking, and no wonder public school enrollment is downticking. Kids learn in trailers. Come on now. It's 1:30. Goodness gracious, where does the time go? I'm going to have to save the CARR Q1 2025 report, news, notes, and tidbits for tomorrow. I caution any of the businesses that are doing spend 25, get you 50 coupons to really consider what you're offering and consider the perception that you're creating. You're basically saying desperation. A 25, get you 50 is desperate. Because I'm going to put it in perspective. Let's say on $50, your margin, if you're a restaurant, is like 8%, okay? $50 on 8%, you're making like $4 or $5 profit. $4 or $5.
Yeah.
When you're doing 25, get you 50, you're literally, when someone comes in there and spends $50, losing money.
Yeah.
And you're not keeping all the 25.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing money. Like you're serving customers in the red. If you're just tuning into the program, Mississippi State is throwing a Brinks truck at Brian O'Connor, and Brian O'Connor has said to Mississippi State, I ain't leaving. I'm staying in Charlottesville. That news was broken on the Jerry show this morning, Jerry Ratcliffe on the Jerry and Jerry show. Judah Wickhauer's been on absolute point of late. I give him a flying chest bump, but the last time I did it, it left bruise on his chest, and he's still icing the chest under his undershirt, his button-down shirt, and his sweater. Only man I know that can pull it off in 85 degrees is you. And you pull it off without sweating a bead of sweat on your brow.
It's not 85 in here.
Not a bead of sweat on your brow. Judah, I am wearing a Roback shirt that offers the warmth of I might as well have no shirt on with this thing on. It's that thin. I'm wearing shorts, and I'm free balling today.
Oh, that's something I did not need to know. I doubt anybody else cares to know that.
Is that TMI? It's TMI? That's the show. Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille Show on a Tuesday. Thank you kindly for watching the program.